All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the February 10th. It's still February 10th, I believe. We're into hour 7 of board meetings today. So I'm just going to begin, as we always do, with an acknowledgement that we're gathering today on the unceded traditional territories of the Comox First Nation, the traditional keepers of this land. And then there's a closed meeting request there. So it's section 92B. Okay, moved and seconded. Anyone opposed? And that carries. I have some minutes for adoption, January 26 board minutes. Any questions on those? Anyone opposed? And that carries. And we're on to petitions and delegations. And we have Karen McKinnon from the Community Justice Center to provide an update on the center's impact, growth, and needs. And you probably know this, but there will be in a second a timer up there, which just counts down from 10, and then our questions can go on pretty much forever. But I think we'll keep it succinct. So if you just want to tap the button at the base of your microphone.
Is that working?
And you're set. Okay, take it away.
So thank you all for your presence, especially after your long day. For those of you I don't know, I'm Karen Milstein McKinnon. I'm the Managing Director at the Community Justice Center. And the center has been providing restorative justice peacemaking and resolution services to the Valley for almost 30 years, so 28 years. I'm just here to provide an update to keep you informed. The CJC has 70 plus volunteers right now, inclusive of our board of directors. We have a beautiful, collaborative, skilled volunteer base, and they're doing some powerful work in our community. We have this very lovely problem of having too many volunteer inquiries. We actually had to strategize to triage the situation a few weeks ago. And I just think that says a lot about our community, our organization, and the community's interest actually in restorative justice. Right now, we have 3 staff members. So I work 32 hours, and Anne is 25 hours, and Felix recently joined us at 20 hours, and they're with us till the end of August, and hopefully longer if we can find funding for their position. In our last fiscal year, which ended in August, we managed 86 cases. So that's 86 offenders. These cases were all in different stages of management. That's a 35% increase in the last 2 years. We're also experiencing an increase in inquiries and consultations. These are more in-depth conversations beyond inquiries, where we might do a deeper dive into whether it's a fit for restorative justice and our services. What we often find for these is we end up providing restorative justice coaching and sometimes re-resourcing. Often they don't go to open a file, right? Or we call it a file or a case, but sometimes they do. Right now I have 6 of these going on, for example. And what we're noting is a remarkable increase in these inquiries coming from community organizations, other nonprofits. And it, again, bodes well that people want to resolve their conflicts in a good way. What is most remarkable right now, however, is the increased complexity. So not just the increased files and numbers, but the complexity across all the demographics. But we're seeing a remarkable increase in younger generations, particularly 13 to 16 years old. We have 40% of our files, which is up 30% from last year and continues to increase. And we just started tracking the amount of people we serve under the age of 13, because both as what we call affected and responsible, otherwise known as victim and offender, we're seeing an increase in that age demographic. One of my volunteers, who's been a case coordinator for 20 years with our center, said, "It's changed dramatically. The situations are more complex. People have higher needs. Issues like food and housing insecurity, mental health are showing up more. And also parents are more challenged. So even when parents are engaged, we're hearing that they're overwhelmed, working more, not as available to support. don't know how to support, or are dealing with their own complexities. A huge complexity increase we're also seeing is what we call victimization, where someone's bullied maybe repeatedly, and then they, let's say, for example, punch the other person. Now they're the offender involved in a criminal incident. Through RJ, we need to be able to look at the incident and the victimization. So what this looks for us in day to day is our volunteers are doing more pre-meetings and meetings with the people we serve. And they're needing to engage staff more to support files. We're also needing to support our volunteers more for their own wellness and care and provide more training. Our volunteers remain inspired and committed. They and I believe RJ, restorative justice, can meet the needs and that the CJC can meet the needs, but we are being stretched capacity-wide, which is tied to funding. I can't be up here without mentioning our community of support. At the CJC, many of you may know we're deeply rooted in community, both in direction and accountability for what we do, but we're also greatly supported. We work closely with so many community organizations, including local government, but today I just want to highlight the work of our local RCMP and Inspector Scott Mercer, who states that we are surpassing larger communities with respect to referrals and caseloads because of the great partnership we have. I just wanted to share these classifications of harm only because people ask me often where we're seeing most of our criminal harm. And these are some of the areas with theft and mischief, but we are finding sexual violence an area that is increasing. And a lot of our files have multiple classifications. Outside of the files that we manage in response to incidents, we offer circle dialogues. So these are community discussions on issues that matter. They might include, right now, we're working on a series about raising boys in a landscape of increasing toxic masculinity, circles on allyship and reconciliation, or addressing racist graffiti. These circles are typically volunteer-led and staff-supported. We also, as many of you might know, we work in the area of anti-racism, both in response and education. These often fall outside of the scope of criminal cases and are supported through consultation and education. This work has been done at the CJC since 2009 through the foundation of the Critical Incident Protocol, but it's evolved and expanded in the last 2 years through our role as the Resilience BC and United Way Anti-Racism Hub, and also as restorative justice has evolved and the need for this care in our community has evolved. And as you probably know, we also provide education. We host large events such as our polarization workshop. Hopefully you're starting to see information in community about Indigenous author Michelle Good coming to the community and the adjacent events we're hosting in recognition of the 150th anniversary of the Indian Act. And of course, we do smaller education pieces, like we're heading over to Denman in a few weeks to provide some RJ tools and circle them, and doing a presentation in the school this week. When you look at our revenue snapshot, you'll see how crucial the support we receive from the regional district is. It is our only multi-year funding source that doesn't require us to create new short-term projects. That is, other than the $4,000 we receive annually from the Minister of Public Safety. You'll notice the community gaming grant, the purple pie at the bottom. We received notification in December that we would receive it. If we hadn't received it, this January, February, my hours would have dropped from 32 to 25, and Anne and Felix's to approximately 12 hours per week, or some variation of that. I want to clearly name the lack of multi-year funding for general operations as a real concern, particularly as the demand for our work and the complexity of our work increases. Our work depends on relational skilled labor, and within our current funding structure that we operate in, it gets tricky to support staff, engage in long-term planning, sustain relational work with partners, and provide the care and upskilling for our volunteers. Most funding streams are not designed to support these necessary costs. The BC Gaming Grant is, but like I mentioned, you just don't always know if you're going to get it. This does create a tension that we feel across our program. Across BC, we're steering restorative justice programs without core funding, like the core funding we receive from the regional district, close down or reduce services. As part of our provincial association, we do continue to advocate with provincial and federal funding. Anyhow, meanwhile, we are managing our resources carefully. And I am sorry that I forgot that the font is so small up there and that I put so many words on there. But what I do want to share is, as we're seeing these funding challenges, we are seeing more demand for restorative justice and seeing it recommended across numerous places like the Strong Cities networks and other areas where community well-being is being addressed. But at the same time, the resources are decreasing. There's, while I feel like I'm presenting a despair, I just can't accentuate enough that our volunteer and staff are still highly motivated based on testimonials like this that we receive, where we know that we are providing fair and just outcome and providing community healing and transformation for responsible parties. In closing, I just want to say that we're excited and focused on our objectives this coming year. Many of them are to help address the challenges that we're seeing, like encouraging volunteers to co-mentor. We do have an exceptional community here that supports restorative justice and allows us to keep striving to deliver this work in a sustainable, trauma-informed, good way. And truly, it wouldn't be possible without the support we get from the district.
All right. Thank you, Karen. Inspiring words, and that last quote, it was a little hard to read, but
yes.
but the really powerful stuff, like when you had a chance to get through it.
I remember the TV screens is larger, so I now have that scared in my memory.
We all got our reading glasses here. Just looking to see if there are any questions. Director Helene, you had one during the presentation. Was there something you wanted to?
No, I accidentally hit my button, but since you gave me the opportunity, I'll just say, Karen, how much I think your work is appreciated. The response from the community is indicative of that, and I know that both Director Grieve and myself have the pleasure of serving as representatives of our elected bodies on the board. And it truly is a joy to see the continued growth of the center, the new directions that it's taking under your leadership, and the response from the community and the volunteer engagement. I think you've made the point that this wouldn't be happening without the support of the regional district, and it's my hope that the regional district will continue to provide that support. So thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
All right, and well said, Director Helene. And Director Morin, go ahead.
Great, thank you. Thanks so much, Karen, for the update. I was curious about the classifications of harm graphic that has sexual violence, say 0.3. It's my understanding that community justice didn't generally work with cases of intimate partner violence and sexual violence for a variety of reasons. So I'm just curious if you can say a little bit more about that.
I absolutely can. We don't work with cases of intimate partner violence. Now, many RJs do. Nanaimo, for example, that is a huge part of their work, and same with Victoria. The sexual violence cases that we're receiving are primarily youth who are sharing intimate images.
Okay, yeah.
Which is criminal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And maybe just on that same slide, there was also, I think, 2%, and it was possession was the criminal activity, and is that of stolen goods or like what? I'm not sure.
No, those are federal cases.
Okay.
So drug possession.
Okay, this is drug possession. Okay. All right, interesting. Director Arbour.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks for coming over. actually had, I don't think I'd call it the chance, but I participated into community justice processes about 10 and 15 years ago. And I mean, the value of the work was incredible to really difficult community situations. So really appreciate it. And I also appreciate the fact that we keep going into the rural areas, and my Facebook this week has just been lit with that advertisement for the Denman one. So either I really love your organization, I don't know what the algorithm is, but it's been like constant in my feed. So anyways, thank you for the work you do, and big support of the work, and we'll see if this table can support more in the future.
Thank you.
All right, well, not seeing any further questions. Thanks so much for coming by and sharing some time with us.
Yeah,
And we'll
thank
get back
you.
to our endless meeting.
Yes, your endless meeting.
Have a good evening.
Well, and I hope you wrap up while you still get a little bit of that nice sky.
We'll see.
You don't know.
See how
In the
quickly we can
video,
do this.
it's terrible outside. It's terrible out there. Yeah, you don't want to go out.
So we'll move on to reports. Next is the Regional Parks and Trails Committee minutes from January 27th for receipt. Perfect. Any questions? Anyone opposed? And that carries. Next is the Service 270 Comox Valley Emergency Management Financial Plan and Capital Expenditure Program Amendment for receipt. Thank you. And I'll pass this over to our CAO.
Thanks very much. And Kelly Broughton, I believe, has a PowerPoint, 13 slides, 14 slides, fairly extensive presentation on this report. Kelly, over to you.
Thank you through the CAO to the directors. Staff are requesting that the 2025 to 29 financial plan for Service 270 Comox Valley Emergency Management be amended by $1,841,915 to include the grant revenue and corresponding expenditures awarded to the Comox Valley Regional District through the Fire Smart program administered by UBCM. Under Section 374 of the Local Government Act, a regional district is required to adopt a balanced 5-year financial plan by March 31st of each year. That plan outlines the planned expenditures and sources of revenue. On March 18th, 2025, the 2025 to 2030 financial plan was adopted through bylaw number 864. The legislation further specifies that a local government may not expend funds that are not included in the adopted financial plan. To accommodate new opportunities and changing conditions, the financial plan may be amended during the year by the board. As a result, this grant must be formally incorporated into the financial plan through this amendment process. The Fire Smart grant received is a regional grant that includes participation from Comox First Nation, City of Courtenay, Town of Comox, Village of Cumberland, and electoral areas A, B, and C. The Fire Smart program is a provincial initiative aimed at reducing the risk of wildfire damages to homes and communities. The work plan has been developed with consideration of all participating partners and includes initiatives such as community education, wood chipping programs, and training programs for operational staff. Thank you, and I'm here to answer any questions.
All right. Any questions on those 13 slides, Director Arbor?
Yeah, just excellent news, obviously, on the grant, and I think I shared at ESC as well. We should be really feeling lucky and proud that we regionalized emergency management in this region. Last week I was with the Stolo Nations in Chilliwack, and they were complaining that they're not getting the Fire Smart, and partly they didn't regionalize and they didn't coordinate their approach, and so they're actually missing out. And now the province indicating that they actually are going to reduce the amount of funding to the Fire Smart program. So yeah, it's pretty amazing that we're getting such a vast amount of money for such a critical function. But I think my comment at ESC too is, let's watch the space at the province, because if they permanently peel back, I think we'll need to have some discussions here around whether we're able to step up to the plate to continue. It's a very successful program both in the municipalities and in the rural areas.
All right, thanks very much. And this is just on receipt. So anyone opposed to receipt? All right, and that carries. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's also the recommendation, which is right there. Moved and seconded. Any comments on that? Anyone opposed? And that carries. Thanks so much. It's been a long day, Kelly. You should get out of here. Bylaws and resolutions for adoption. Okay, this is a vote of the areas. Any questions? Anyone opposed? That carries. We're on to new business, AVICC resolution request on active transportation as a core ministry priority. And kind of pass it over to Director Harper, who introduced this.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. And yeah, I'm glad that Troy put his light on. This is work that started last June. Actually, we had a really good meeting between staff, myself, residents in the South area, and trying to go deeper around why we're having real trouble putting active transportation amenities on ministry roads. And since June, we've had a few points of intersection, and I want to thank our CEO, James. We had some calls just before Christmas with the head for Vancouver Island at the ministry, and just trying to identify how we can crack this. And we had a little bit of feedback from them as well. So this resolution really goes to the core of part of the problem. One is at the province, everything is a priority right now. What is not a priority doesn't get budgeted, doesn't get addressed. So active transportation is not actually in the mandate letter for the ministry. So that's a key gap. Transit features extremely highly in the ministry letter, but nowhere will you find the words active transportation. Second, on their own highways, they have fallen so far behind municipalities. They haven't updated a number of standards and policies, and we've talked about that. And I think Robin Holm and Alana and our staff actually looked, based on our experience with particular projects, at what could be improved. So I won't go into the technical part like the design document and all that, but I think this resolution will allow staff to have really meaningful discussions with the folks at the ministry. And then since then, Cumberland had also passed a similar resolution. So I'll pass it to Troy to give some background on that. And he may have an amendment, which I support, to this resolution.
All right, thanks. Alternate Director Tarian, go ahead.
Hi, thank you, Director Arbor, Chair. Yes, we were in Cumberland. We came to the same conclusion that the ministry should be responsible for promoting active transportation to and between municipalities. We last night withdrew our resolution conditional on this one passing, just to save time at AVICC, because I know they'll be flooded with resolutions again. And my friendly amendments to this are to add the words "and between" in a couple of places. Often leaving in the second whereas statement, often leaving critical gaps and connections to and between nearby municipalities. And then in the first point of the main resolution, applies to rural and semi-rural contexts outside of and between municipalities as well as urban areas. Just to capture that we would like to see some active transport between. I did send that on to
That's exactly what I was hoping. Thank you.
Lisa and James. Yep.
Perfect. Okay. That we can fix. Okay. Slider at the bottom.
Yeah.
Could you hit the slider at the bottom, make it bigger?
It's right behind. Yep. Yes.
Okay, thank you. There, the edits are much more. Yeah. And Director Arbor, that's a friendly amendment you said before. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, thanks for that addition. That's really helpful. So I think we didn't actually have a mover. We did have receipt. And so, sorry, I'm just tired. The amendment is friendly. So the requested action is to forward this to AVICC. And so does anyone care to move the requested action? Moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? Director Arbery, please go ahead.
Thanks. I just, maybe some people will watch this because I just want to say that you wouldn't believe, as an area director in Area A anyways, the number of correspondence I get over the last 7 years from residents on these issues. And they were, one of the big triggers, they were absolutely stunned when Courtney easily put in a crosswalk in the south area just by on Highway 19A, which is, we have been advocating for 40 years. There isn't a single crosswalk between Royston Light and Buckley Bay. And after that, that's it. And so people were just floored, and that generated a flurry of interest. I've got 7 different groups lobbying for active transportation and speed limits in Area A. They're all super active. They're all super frustrated. I received an email from Jason Scott just before this meeting. It's a continuous flow. So hopefully I am motivated. I'm motivated to try to bring some changes, and I really want to thank CVRE staff for really lending a hand on this one.
All right, thanks, Director Arbor. And motions on the table. Anyone opposed? And that carries. And then we'll move to the next resolution. Okay, so that's on receipt. And Director Grieve, do you want to speak to that correspondence?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This actually fell out of a previous meeting. We were talking about this issue, and I kind of rattled off a draft resolution, and Director Hillian took a look at it, and Director Arbor pointed out there'd been a few very similar ones brought forward at UBCM. But we tried to give it a twist and make it a little different than the previous ones, which are, I think, from 2022. So it's been 4 years and it hasn't been actioned. I think the response to UBCM from the province was, well, we're working on it, you know. That's 4 years. So this was a little bit of a twist saying, let's action it. So hopefully it won't be put in the block with a bunch of other ones because it's too similar to a previous one, because it really isn't. It's more of like, let's get on with it. So, and I'd like to thank my colleagues for their input on this as well as the chair.
Okay, well, thank you. I think we should also be thanking Jake as well. Didn't he work a bit
Yes, Jake
on this?
And staff,
I think
and
yeah.
it's a combined effort. It's a brain trust.
Exactly. Well, then it's likely to pass the test at AVICC if we've had our corporate guru on that. Okay, so another resolution for AVICC. There's sort of on receipt. Anyone opposed to receipt? There's a requested action. Okay, moved, seconded. Any discussion? Anyone opposed? And that carries. Fantastic. Okay, next. Okay, it's moved and seconded. Anyone opposed to considering the addendum? And that carries. And moving on with the transportation theme. This is a letter, piece of correspondence for receipt. Thank you. Thank you. And this is a piece of correspondence from me. This comes from a request from Colonel Shapka, the base commander at CFB 19 Wing, and essentially trying to sort of begin a discussion on safe transportation between primarily the city of Courtney, having recently purchased the building, which is right across the street, and wanted to talk with Courtney and the regional district about how we could collaborate. And this is, in this case, the requested action is that the CVRD offer to coordinate a regional lobby effort together with 19 Wing and the city of Courtney to develop a strategy and messaging for the provincial government that seeks the necessary improvements on Ryan Road as a part of a safe and responsible growth in the Comox Valley. And yeah, happy to take any questions if people have them. I guess, sorry, we were on receipt. If we dispense with the receipt? Yeah, and there are 2 questions. Okay, great. Director Grant.
Yeah, thanks. So I think this is a really good idea. I wonder a little bit, you know, in Comox, we have a lot of these same issues, and with the provincial government telling us we have to add about 6,000 people and the base bringing 600 or more people in, you know, I think about Pritchard Road, I think about Lerwick Road, and I'm wondering if this whole thing could maybe be expanded to take in some of the other areas that are going to be absolutely affected by the number of people that are coming in.
I'm not averse to that. So let's maybe think about how widely one would want to be expanding it to include the town of Comox then perhaps in this list.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just making it up off the top. of my
Yeah,
head, so
no,
I'm
that's-
not detailed.
That's fine, but is that roughly what you're thinking, is that to have town of Comox added there as
Yeah,
well?
that would
And
be good, yeah.
and to consider broadening the scope in terms of beyond one road.
Mhm.
Okay, that's great. To me, that's a friendly amendment. We'll go to Director Arbor.
Yeah, I actually like the focus on Ryan Road myself, but yeah, I think it is needed. And I think a lot of the public, I had to educate myself because a lot of people think they don't really know where the city of Courtney is responsible for that road and where they're not. And I mean, we've had deaths and accidents and the speeds coming down towards Enderton. Like there's just a lot of issue just specifically on Ryan. So I actually think it'd be good to keep it focused, but I mean, if you guys want to expand it, that's fine. And then CVRD, yeah, as soon as you hit Enderton, you're into area B. So yeah, this is good and a good collaboration.
All right, thanks, Director Arbor and Director McCollum.
Yeah, I think this is a worthwhile effort to put some resources into. I did want to respond to Director Grant's comments because I'm actually not clear on what he means by Pritchard, like where Pritchard meets the rural areas. And Lerwick, I think, is all in city limits because I mean, I think the need for this is that Ryan Road is a ministry road and therefore we don't have control over it. And there's a need for a higher level of service beyond the roadway. And so that's really what the focus here is. So I'm not clear about the Lerwick thing because I mean, Lerwick has similar challenges, but they're on the responsibility of Courtney and Comox to address, or I should say Lerwick, Guthrie, I guess is what that road is. So maybe just so I understand better what you're suggesting.
Okay, we'll go to Director Grant.
Well, we are going to, and already do have a lot of traffic issues in those areas, but I mean, I guess I'm just kind of making it up as I go here, but like Anderton Road, for example, there's another one that comes right into our community. It's a rural road as soon as you get past our end. And that's going to be chaotic when all this starts happening. So that's why I think it's important that we should maybe be there to make sure that, you know, we get it done properly when we do it.
Right, and maybe I'll seek the CAO's advice here on what would be the right way to move forward. There is a specificity to this, and this came from the request from 19 Wing, but I do recognize there are other priorities that relate to the base and regional transportation. Could we perhaps pass this and then invite Mayor Minions to attend the first meeting? And if there's something that arises from that that fits what this group is about, then a further letter could be submitted to the board.
Yeah, certainly. I think the you're right. There is a focus here on the Ryan Road corridor, and that comes from your dialogue with Colonel Shapka and CFB Comox. And I also note that the requested action is really about that regional lobby effort as opposed to a broader kind of transportation study type focus. The regional district doesn't have a transportation service in that way, so I'm a bit reluctant to consider suggesting there might be a pathway for the regional district on a like a planning study type of basis. The focus here around the Ryan Road corridor and that lobby effort, I think it would make sense to include the town of Comox because there is a shared boundary there to some degree. But I would be a bit hesitant to think that the scope should extend beyond the Ryan Road corridor.
Well, that's why I'm thinking perhaps to include Mayor Minions, and then when as that group meets and assesses its priorities, if there is a second piece of road or a second route beyond just Brian that kind of rises to that same level, then and the group sees it is worth advocating on that. But I think that the move here, which wasn't the plan before, would be to invite your mayor and have her join the discussion. Would that require any? Okay, Director Arbor, go ahead.
Yeah, I realize that Dr. Hardy is not here, but he has spoken often about this section of road and especially the intersection of Enderton. So I think if you're going to include Mayor Minions, you should send an invite to Dr. Hardy as well. He's spoken often and has made it a priority for him to deal with the ministry. So,
okay. Well, certainly, given that the RD is one of the participants in his area, then absolutely we would make sure. I don't think that probably those additional invitations need to be written into the motion. It seems staff would be aware, like clear on that, and we would make that the invite list for the initial meeting and move from there. So Director Moran.
Great, thanks, Chair. So just for clarification, this would be focusing on sort of the bottom of Ryan to the base, because Courtney's already been doing quite a bit of work with developers, et cetera, between Fifth and, you know, all the development that's happening. So this is sort of expanding that focus to accommodate the base, the influx there. Is that?
Yeah, this is, I think, building on what Courtney's already doing, but clearly what we're doing doesn't and can't get all the way to the base, and how to
Right.
coordinate with that. And
Okay.
we've been in touch with the CAO of the city and the mayor, just to, so everyone's sort of on the same page in terms of how we're working together on this.
Yeah,
Yep.
and obviously staff from Comox and Courtney would be involved in this as well. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Well, definitely from Courtney, and if Comox, at that first meeting, we end up sort of expanding this to something which includes Comox specifically, the town, then we would involve their staff. Director Hillian.
Thanks, Chair. I think your compromise is a good one. I think the motion should stay as is, but inviting the additional people to the meeting. And I'm optimistic that this group will be really successful getting some action out of the ministry, and that'll set the stage for a larger conversation about their absolute neglect of rural roads in the valley. And you know, I don't think this precludes a further lobbying effort beyond this, but let's start with this one.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So we have the requested action, I believe, has been moved and seconded. Is anyone opposed to that? And that carries, and the active transportation theme keeps going. I'm going to pass this point. This is a letter from Mayor Brown, who's unable to attend, but she sent alternate Director Therian in her place. And I understand that you are prepared to speak to this. Fantastic. Okay, it's been moved. Did someone second it? Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, I can speak briefly to this. Yes, continuing on with the lobbying efforts to the Ministry of Transportation. Currently, the highway, the connector, and the upper portion of Cumberland Road are the only way for our bicycle commuters to get to and from Cumberland. There's quite a lot of them every day that go up and down there, and they're dealing with a mess right now. On my drive down, I was watching, there's lots of gravel, garbage, leaves, logs from the recent cutting that they've been doing along the road. And we're just asking, again, because these are rural roads that go through CVRD District C, I believe, we're asking the CVRD to help coordinate lobbying efforts with the Ministry of Transportation again, in much the same way as, and can also possibly be coordinated at the same time as some of the other lobbying efforts that we're proposing today.
Okay, well, thanks for introducing it. I see a couple of people want to speak on that. Director Arbor.
Yeah, I might just change the word lobbying based on new information we have as of, when did the ministry come to us? Just like before Christmas. And people here will recall our consideration of starting a regional active transportation service with Cumberland Courtney connector being the priority, and apply for a grant for it. That all fell apart. But to lo and behold, without us knowing, actually, at their last presentation at ESC, the ministry told us that they are considering the connector for their own project to help with pedestrian cycling, stuff like that. So we didn't get much more detail than that, but that was on their slide presentation. It was pending budget and things like that. So I think you might find, lobby maybe just a collaboration opportunity. And I think it'd be good. I think staff from the regional district often meets with them. And so I'm sure it'll come up at the next meeting, and maybe staff from Village Cumberland. I don't know how that all works, but just to know it may already be in the works. And it's Area C and Area A. Not a lot of people know that Area A is actually adjacent to Cumberland Road up until that park at Arden. So yeah, I also have a stake in it.
Excellent.
Well, it's encouraging news. That's great to hear. We're already, that's already in motion. And, the Director Turn, do you want to speak again? Okay, Director Moore, and then. go.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, just really in support of this. I know when I've come down occasionally from Cumberland to Courtney, it's very scary. You gain quite a bit of speed, and if there's debris on the road, it's yeah. And I've had that going down Comox Hill as well. You know, all of a sudden there's something on the road, and we have had the cycling coalition folks write in about various more rural roads and just the danger to cyclists. So yeah, just totally in support of this. Thank you.
Okay, good discussion there. So the recommendation is on the table. Is there anyone opposed to the recommendation? Great, and that carries. And now we're going to move in camera.